Today, I'm going to tell you the ugly truth about Porsche ownership. To get to the root of the ugly truth about Porsche ownership and how it nearly ruined my life, we first need to go back to the beginning. Well, not that far back. Back to when I was a child living in New Zealand, long before I owned any Porsches. My parents were Baptist missionaries in New Zealand, and yeah, I know that's a rough place to have to be a missionary. After a few years living there, my dad had a heart attack before he was 30 years old. It didn't kill him, so I guess it made him stronger. But once he was stable medically and to get better medical care, we moved back to the United States. The move required that we sold pretty much everything that we had, including all of my toys, which is quite a traumatic experience when you're just shy of 5 years old. The only toys I was allowed to keep were Hot Wheels cars, which caused me to become obsessed with cars, and the experience burned those cars into my young memory. Years later, the obsession that started with Hot Wheels went to the real thing, so I became obsessed with much more expensive toys. When I was in college, my obsession with cars focused on Porsches. When I saw the opening scenes of Gone in 60 Seconds and the 996 generation Porsche 911, well, that looked like a 996, I loved the styling. This gave me the idea to go out and hang out at the local Porsche dealership in between classes and check out all the new 911s and Boxers that they had in stock. To the dealership's credit, they let a poor college kid hang around and would show me the cars when they didn't have paying customers around. This set in my mind that I had to have a Porsche one day. That day came just a few years later. I bought my first Porsche for just $200 off of an eBay auction with no reserve. When I went to get the car that was located in a bad part of Oakland, California, not that there are many good parts of Oakland, the seller did all the paperwork from the other side of a chain link fence with razor wire. The Porsche 924 did run and drive, but had a dead battery and a free flow oil filter, also known as a bad oil leak. Due to some cars that kept circling the area shouting threats at each other, I probably set a world record for changing a car battery. I got out of there as quickly as possible, but down the road, when I filled up the gas tank, the light switch broke. And with it getting dark, I couldn't get the lights on. So I ended up paying $250 to tow my $200 Porsche home. But I had a Porsche, even if it was just the lowly 924, and it started to change me, and not completely for the better. After working out how much it was going to cost to fully restore my $200 Porsche 924, it became more economical to just buy a more powerful 944. So I moved up to the 944 and drove that for about 5 years. But I had to keep feeding my Porsche addiction, and more horsepower was needed to get the same feeling as the 944 once had. So I moved on to an early Porsche Boxster. I drove that for about 6 years and then decided I needed another bump in power to keep the sensation of speed going. At the same time, the water pump went out, and so I sold the Boxster for less than I should have and bought what was at the time the cheapest Porsche 911 with a clean title and under $100,000 in the United States. I partly got such a good deal because I bought it in the spring of 2020. And with all the uncertainty in the world, the dealership that sold it was very motivated to move it. In the brief period of time between Porsches, things just didn't feel right. It was like I was missing that fix of being able to drive a Porsche, and I had to get the next one. Starting from the time I bought my first $200 Porsche 924, I became more and more obsessed with Porsches. I spent all my time that I wasn't working at my day job either wrenching on my car or learning more about Porsches. This started me down the path of starting a blog and eventually this YouTube channel. If I wasn't watching videos or reading about cars, I was writing or talking about them. I built up a decent following on the blog and started to make more money. I got free car parts and got flown to press events, which was awesome. But I wasn't quite making enough to go full time. And I was obsessed with building this side business so I could spend all of my time with cars. The problem is when you become obsessed with something, then other things have to fall by the wayside. My personality had become all about Porsches. It was all I could talk about, and I tried to look for any opportunity to add cars to any subject. Couple that with content creation when I wasn't working on or driving my Porsches, and I wasn't available for the things that really mattered. Sure, I was with my family, but I wasn't present. Instead, I would be on my phone or laptop working on a blog post or video idea. This put a strain on my relationships to the point where it was between my Porsche or my family. My wife started calling my 911 my girlfriend, and while it was a joke, kind of, it was also a warning. I finally came to the full realization that my family was slipping away due to my car obsession. I decided to try and sell my Porsche 911 and stop making videos or writing on a regular basis. I started to read books and articles that weren't about cars. The Porsche only got tire kickers looking at it, so I decided to keep it. But I didn't drive it as much as I once did. Then my 911 decided to give me the final warning message. It developed a misfire, and the obvious change of spark plugs and coil packs didn't fix the issue. It was like a sign from above that you could take a break from Porsche and take your time to fix it. The car just wasn't that important. The thing is, no car or YouTube video is ever worth losing your family. I started spending less time talking about cars or driving cars and more time spending it with my family. Whether we go to Disney World together or hang out in our backyard, the time together truly is worth more than any car or making car content. I've decided to plan my time more wisely. I'm still going to make car videos and enjoy my Porsche, just less of it. Of course, it is funny that I made a video about how making videos about Porsches almost ruined my life. But perhaps I can help others have more balance with their car passion. So hopefully you can avoid the ugly truth of Porsche ownership that could cost you a small fortune in divorce lawyer fees and alimony, all because you spend a bit too much time with your Porsche.